Before we get started, I'd like to preface that these instructions are only applicable to Windows 10 and 11. Also, if your keyboard does not support high-end key rollover, you may experience some difficulties, as we require many simultaneous keyboard presses. Now, first of all, you want to download AutoHotkey, version 2.0. After doing so, we need the box.ahk script. Now, by going onto this GitHub page and pressing code, we can now download the zip file over here. Next, we extract the zip file and we get this folder over here. By scrolling to the bottom of this GitHub page and pressing this link here, we can get the interface between VJoy and the AHK script here. And we also do the same, code and then download zip and extract. And finally, the last dependency, VJoy, we just press download. Now we want to set up VJoy by opening up the configure VJoy app, ensuring that our number of buttons is 12, ensuring it's on, and also ensuring that your settings are identical to this. After all this, apply your settings and close it. Finally, we need to move the file cvjoyinterface.hk into a particular folder. This folder can be found by going into your OS drive, program files, AutoHotkey, and putting it in this lib file over here. If you don't have this lib file, create one and then copy paste the script here. Now on to the next section. Now that we've set most things up, we now want to edit our hotkeys. To do that, we need to go into our box.ahk master file folder and then press on the hotkeys file. Now we will enter hotkeys.ini. Now you will see these hotkey numbers which you might not know what they correspond to. But if you go back to the GitHub page here, you'll see that, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4 correspond to up, down, left, right respectively. And after doing this, you can set your keys manually. Please set your own hotkeys because obviously the keys I use myself are far from optimal, so yeah. Now for Melee, we want to navigate the Slippy Launcher, and by going to Settings, NetPlay, we can open the Settings folder. And then by going into User, Config, Profiles, GCPad, we now want to go over to our box.ahk master file and drag and drop the box keyboard.ini over to this GCPad folder over here. After doing all that, we want to launch Slippy Dolphin, go to controller settings, configure port 1 to be a standard controller, and press configure. Now all you have to do is ensure that our input device is VJoy, our profile is box keyboard, and then we load and save it. Now you have your keyboard all set up for Slippy and Melee. Alright, now that we've configured everything, let's launch the box.ahk and play some Melee. Let's boot up Uncle Punch. Look, I'm really bad at Melee, so take this as a basic, introductory to some of the functions the box provides, the box.ahk script provides, rather than a definitive guide how to use it. As you can see, normally on keyboard you would only have access to 45-degree wave dash, but using our X modifier we can get our max length wave dash, which is 59 degrees. Obviously it's nerfed because otherwise it would be too overpowered. You can also have a shallow wave dash, like there, which is your Y modifier, and obviously these apply to your Firefox angles. So you have your X modifier, your Y modifier, and you can even add C-stick keys to get even more angles, as you can see there. And there's no neutral SOCD, so you see you can kind of dash dance really fast, And yeah, I guess also, if you want to, find out how to do the particular Pikachu angles and, Zelda angles and Mewtwo teleport angles and all that, the box documentation has all that information. And yeah, obviously, I'm not too familiar with, the the really advanced stuff. So yeah, that's all for the melee gameplay. Alright, onto setting up Steam input. So here we go settings, we go controller, and obviously we need to make a controller and name it, and let's go to Rivals of Aether 2, and obviously yeah, you go to test device inputs, and you really want to press set up device inputs, and basically boot up your box script and try to follow it closely. But obviously you'll have the extra D-pad keys which you can use for your right stick press down and your left stick press down. You can use these D-pad keys for all your extra keys that a GameCube wouldn't really have. And after you set all those, your controller's ready to go. But obviously let's open the calibration and settings, and I've kind of minimized the dead zones so that the game's as responsive as possible. And let's boot up Rivals of Aether now. Alright, let me show you the tricks of the trade in Rivals of Aether now. So let's go to trading mode, and I'm going to go to Zetterburn so that you can see my settings. Obviously for controls like the advanced controls and your binds like here, it's going to be all personal preference. So, but for stick sensitivities, I do have recommendations, because you want to be able to moonwalk easily, you want your controls to be responsive, and you want to be able to do pivots and all that easily, and you want as many of the angle modifiers to register as possible. So these are the settings I have arrived at. Obviously, if you fiddle around and find something that works for you better, go for it, but this is what I found works, and I'll show you guys how to make use of it. Just like melee, obviously you have your benefits of this grip compared to regular keyboard, like you don't have neutral SOCD, so if you press a button and then change it, and then press the button in the other direction, you'll instantly start moving, so you have faster dash dances compared to regular keyboard. You have your, and you maintain parity of keyboard on many areas, like the easy moonwalks. And yeah, by using the walk mod, you can pivot really well as well, like here. And like melee, you have your, angle modifiers. So if I press mod X, you can see me do a different waveland angle compared to a completely straight one like this. And obviously this is useful if you don't want to waveland off the platform. And it also gives you access to slight DI, so you don't have just 8 directions of DI, which is obviously very limiting, especially when you want to mix up your DI. And like Fox, when I showed you before in melee, you have your angle modifier. So you have your regular diagonal right there. This is mod X, and then we have mod Y. But if we press C, the C stick keys in addition to this, just like melee, we're gonna get extra angles. Like let's see, let me show you real quick. Like that. Yeah, that's really a shallow angle. And obviously you have I think, was it with the angle modifier is like something like 48 total angles. Alright, now onto my Rivals of Aether 1 settings, and like before, your settings and your binds and all that, they're all, subjective and play how you want, but these are the stick sensitivity settings I've settled with. Now there's 2 minor issues that may annoy you enough that you may not want to use this script for this game, but yeah, I'll show you these 2 issues. But these, stick sensitivity settings ensure that, the game feels responsive. Now please do note that for some reason, even if you create a second virtual controller in VJoy, Steam can't separate between those two, so if you try to make separate binds for Rivals of Aether 2 and 1, it just won't work. So personally, I have to stick to keyboard just because of the binding issue. But yeah, the 2 major issues are like, when you moonwalk and you complete it, you're stuck standing still. To get around this, you've got to press your dash again, but this is, finicky, and I know the speed values are obviously different, so I'm not sure how well you could moost with this. Plat moost or edge moost with this, so, yeah, please do try it out yourself. The next issue is, when you're walking and you change directions, you just enter dash. To get around this, you need to walk, let go your direction, and then press the other direction. But obviously this is slower and less precise, but you know, you can still pivot fairly easily. So if you care about this for pivoting, don't worry, but it's mainly about just, you know, seamless walking. But you know, you do get access to the angle modifiers, which are a big advantage. So if you don't care about those, you know, pet peeves, you know, feel free to use this, you know, script. But for me, I have to stick to keyboard, unfortunately.